Welcome to LUTV News in Focus, where we feature interesting topics on campus, in the community, and in the world of culture. I'm Carson Racich. Amongst the pandemic, lots of people were forced into their homes to stay safe from the virus, although reporters and other multimedia journalists have had to come up with creative ways to produce content and still share stories and news with their local communities. WREX sports reporter Bayne gave me an inside scoop on what it was like to work from home, how he created content when the world had no sports, and his advice for upcoming reporters. Thank you for joining me.
Oh, glad to be here, Carson. Thanks for having me.
So what has it been like having to change your work environment from being in the studio out on the field to having to go home?
Well, during the fall, like as of right now, is usually my super busy time of the year with football season going on, and then other high school sports like volleyball and boys soccer, and then golf and tennis and swimming. So there's usually a million things going on just high school wise, plus you add in college football, and I'm usually going a million miles an hour during the fall, but right now it's a little more tame. So it's kind of weird. You know, I started working from home, I want to say back in either late March or early April. So I was working out of the studio for a little bit during the start of the pandemic, and then our company decided to shift gears and have most people start working from home for a while. And now I think we're back to about 50% capacity maximum at the station. And this is, 6-7 months later now. So it's pretty crazy. So I'm one of the ones, I think I've been to the station physically twice in the last 6 months. Once just to shoot a little promo thing, and then the other just to have my gear checked, which they were doing for everybody. So it's been just popped in twice, and that's been about it. So I've had to learn on the fly how to work from home and create a good workspace here. And technology is plays a big role in it. 10 years ago, I don't think we would have been able to pull this off, the whole working from home thing and broadcasting from my basement. But I just have a little app on my cell phone now. I fire that up, and they can bring me into our system, and I can broadcast live on the air just like that. And I can edit on my laptop here, any video that I go shoot or that I pull in from our NBC, main national news feeds and things like that. I can access those all from home, edit them, and send them back to playback, and I can anchor right out of my basement. And the nice thing is I don't have to worry about driving anywhere, I guess.
There you go. Would you say it's been an easy or difficult transition?
I'm always kind of a go with the flow kind of guy, so I feel like I've adapted pretty well to it. But it's definitely a change from the pace that I'm used to. Like I said, I'm used to running around all over, covering a million events, and when the world just kind of stops, especially the sports world back in mid-March, it was weird just trying to figure out what to do. And a lot of people were struggling and losing their jobs and things like that. And I'm just, I felt fortunate that I was able to just still have a job at that time, and just doing my best to put a good product down the air and give people something to maybe hopefully get their minds off of the pandemic a little bit. Sports are always an outlet, and without sports that were there for a while, it was pretty tough. So I was trying to find interesting stories to tell about people in sports, or about the sports world in general, and local athletes that have been affected by it, and things like that.
So along with the content that you created over the pandemic, how has being creative kind of helped you produce packages? How far down did you have to dig to be able to produce?
Yeah, I had to get real creative real quick. Without a whole lot going on, I had to just kind of go into my mental Rolodex and start trying to think of all the athletes I've covered over the years, ones that were playing in college that were forced to come home, or whose seasons were cut short as they were about to start the NCAA tournament for basketball. Athletes that were overseas, like Sophie Bruner, who's an Akron grad playing basketball over in Italy, which was, one of the first big hotspots where the pandemic really hit and really shut that country down and devastated a whole lot of people and a whole lot of everything in that country, really. So she was right there in the midst of it. And, so I talked to her right when she got back. She had to quarantine for 2 weeks, which a lot of people know a lot about these days. So, so I went through and I told as many of those kind of stories as I could with local athletes and how it affected them. And then, after a while, those start to get kind of the same thing, just with a different face to it. So I was like, what else can I do to make something interesting. And we had an NBA champion from Rockford the previous year in 2019, Fred VanVleet. So I was able to do a Zoom interview with him, and then I also did a Zoom interview with a bunch of his friends and family, just kind of looking back. Like on every 1 year anniversary of, like, say for game 1 of the NBA finals, the 1 year anniversary of game 2 and so forth through game 6, I did like a whole kind of oral history of the NBA finals, what the feelings and emotions were at the time, and just kind of what it meant. And then, also about the celebrations afterwards, what that was all like. So I think that turned into about maybe an 8 or 9 part segment or so, one for each game, and then a few different, just from the aftermath with the parade and the trophy celebration that they had in Toronto, and then the one that they had in Rockford. And then as well, just kind of a recap of just what it really meant for him and his family to be the first NBA champion from the city of Rockford. So I thought that was a really fun thing to put together, and just gives people a chance to reminisce and think back just to what life was like a year ago. There was, 6,000-7,000 people gathered together in downtown Rockford watching the Toronto Raptors play for an NBA championship. And at that time, I think it was in June of this year, you couldn't have more than 50 people getting together without it being technically, illegal, or at least frowned upon by the state and things like that. And then one of the other things that I created during the pandemic that is near and dear to my heart is a segment I created with my son called Friday Fun at Home, because he was 3 years old at the time. He turned 4 in August, and for him, it was, tough. He was stuck at home with us too while we were working at home, and we're doing our best to occupy him and still get work done. And so I came up with a segment called Friday Fun at Home, where me and him just did different sports and activities in the backyard and things like that, and put together just a fun little 2-minute segment every Friday night at 6 o'clock. And it really turned into something special that a lot of people like emailed me, or even like hand wrote letters to the station. That the 2 times that I've been there in the last 6 months, I've found mail on my desk like addressed to me and Julian. And
That's so cool.
So yeah, I think we created something that a lot of people look forward to, and helped create something positive that really came out of this.
You should definitely create his own YouTube channel and keep it going.
Yeah, I'm thinking about maybe doing a Halloween special here in a couple of weeks.
There you go.
Making a little haunted house in the basement and doing a little Friday Fun in Halloween edition. So I did put all of them up on YouTube together. We ended up doing 20 episodes. I thought this was going to maybe be like a month-long thing. I was like, here's something that'll fill some time when there's no sports for a month while I'm working at home. Then I'll probably be back to normal by summertime. But the weeks passed, and then the months passed, and here we are. We got to 20 Friday Fun at Home episodes. So we had a blast doing it, though. It was kind of bittersweet to end it, but he's actually back at school now. He's the only one in our house that's really leaving the house on a daily basis. So I guess he's the brave one.
There you go. So for future broadcasters, what advice could you give them, especially if we have to continue in this pandemic, or if this pandemic's pretty much changed the way we do things?
Yeah, you're gonna have to get creative and just tell stories about people. I mean, that's good journalism just in general, whether you're in a pandemic or not. But the real stories are when you talk to actual people, not just the government officials giving you all the numbers and statistics. You want to find out how this is affecting people and what it's doing to their lives and their livelihoods too. I mean, this has changed the way everyone does their business, no matter what industry you're in. I think everyone's been affected at some level, whether you're a teacher or anything. You're doing your job a whole lot different than you did it just 7-8 months ago now. So you're gonna have to get creative and learn to use all these different technologies that we have these days. You have there's so many different platforms. You'll probably get more engagement with social media as well. A lot of people are on their phones more often now because they're not out doing things and things like that. So, the more you can engage with your audience as well, posting your stories on Facebook and Twitter and just trying to engage people a little bit and give them something to either either inform or entertain or whatever your goal is with your particular story that day.
Well, that's great information. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Carson. I really appreciate it and enjoy the opportunity.
Well, thank you. Thank you for watching LUTV News in Focus. To see more content from LUTV News, follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook.